Ladies and gentlemen, let me break this down for you real quick. When a woman stops reaching out to a man, it ain't just quiet, it's a declaration. That silence hits harder than any argument you could ever have. See, men, we get comfortable. We think, oh, she's always going to text first. She's always going to check in. She's always going to be there. And when that stops, man, it feels like somebody unplugged the whole world. You ever see a dude sitting there, staring at his phone like it's supposed to magically ring? He'll check the screen, restart it, maybe even tap it a few times, thinking something's wrong with the phone, when really something's wrong with his game. Here's the cold truth. Some men don't understand the value of a good woman until her energy is gone. You are his morning sunshine, his quiet encouragement, the soft place he could land after the world beat him up. And what did he do? He took it for granted. Because men, listen to me, chaos feels normal when that's all you've ever known. So when a woman brings peace, you don't always recognize it. You don't realize that peace is love in its purest form until the day it's gone. And ladies, when you pull back, no yelling, no drama, no long paragraphs, just silence, that's when a man starts replaying every moment, every conversation, and asking himself, how did I let that slip? So tonight we're going to talk about it. We're going to break down exactly what a man does when you stop contacting him and how that silence flips the whole game on its head, Di. He's going to notice the silence, ladies. Listen to me good. This first thing right here is the moment you start seeing the real reaction. When you stop calling, stop texting, stop sledding into his DMs, the silence hits him harder than a Saturday night hangover. Now, I don't care how confident that man looks, how smooth he acts, or how many Instagram selfies he's taken with shades on like he don't care. He's gonna notice. Men are creatures of habit. They get comfortable. They get used to certain things. And if one day, poof, the routine is gone, oh, he notices. Don't even try to tell me he don't. See, ladies, men are wired to respond to consistency. You've been hitting him up like clockwork. Good morning. How was your day? Don't forget your lunch. And he's been enjoying it like it's free dessert at a restaurant. But the second that dessert disappears, suddenly he's starving. And it ain't just about food. It's about attention. It's about care. It's about energy. The very thing you've been giving him without thinking. When it stops, his brain starts racing. He starts wondering, wait, did I do something wrong? Did she forget me? Did she block me? Did my phone just break? And let me tell you something funny. He ain't gonna admit it out loud. No, men don't do that. They sit there staring at their phones, scrolling through old texts, reading every message you ever sent, trying to find a hidden clue. They replay your last conversation in their head like it's some kind of mystery they gotta solve. And trust me, they overthink. Oh, they overthink so bad it's hilarious. You don't even gotta do nothing fancy. Just go quiet and watch him start analyzing every little thing. Now some of y'all might be thinking, Steve, he's probably busy. He's probably just chilling. He's probably, I don't know, living his life. Nope. I promise you he notices. Even when he's acting like he don't care, his subconscious is screaming. That void you left, it's loud. He's feeling it, whether he admits it or not. And that's the power of silence. It hits him in a way words never could. You stopping contacting him ain't mean you're being mean. It ain't mean you're playing games. It's simply showing him what life is like without your energy, your time, and your presence. And brother, that's a shock to the system. Ladies, this is where your power comes from. Not from text, not from phone calls, not from checking in. Your power comes from that quiet moment, that pause, that refusal to chase. Because once he notices the silence, he starts taking inventory. He starts remembering what he had. He starts thinking about all those times you showed up, supported him, loved him, cared for him, and now suddenly none of that is there in real time. And that's when things get real. That's when a man either realizes or he doesn't, but I promise you he notices. And when he does notice, the games begin. But that's for the next point. He'll test the waters. Now listen to me carefully, ladies, because this is where most women get it twisted. You stop contacting a man, you give him that space, you stop chasing. And what does he do? He starts testing the waters. And I'm not talking about some little casual test, I'm talking about the full. Let me see if she's still mine type of test. Men, whether we admit it or not, are creatures of habit, and we hate uncertainty. If a man has been used to your attention, your texts, your calls, and suddenly that goes away, he ain't just sitting around staring at the ceiling thinking, maybe she's busy. No, he's running scenarios in his mind. He's testing the waters. He's trying to figure out where he stands. You might get a text like, "Hey stranger, you good?" Now ladies, I want you to hear me loud and clear. That is not just a casual check-in. That is him testing the waters. He's dipping a toe in the water to see if you'll respond, to see if your silence was real or just a tactic. He's watching your reaction like it's some kind of reality show. He wants to see if you'll light up for him like nothing happened, or if you're actually moving on without him. And I promise you, that moment tells him everything. Or maybe it's a late night call. "Oh yes, you know what I'm talking about, 11:45 p.m. Your phone lights up. And it's him. Now, don't roll your eyes yet. This is classic behavior. He's not calling because he just wants to chat. No, he's calling to test your availability. He wants to see if he still has influence, if he still occupies a special space in your mind. That call is him dipping a foot in the water, hoping to see if the tides have turned in his favor. Some men get sneaky. They might comment on your social media posts or like every picture you post within a span of 10 seconds. Why? Because that's another way to test the waters without saying a word. He wants to know if you'll engage, if you'll react, if you'll make him feel needed again. Ladies, that's his ego talking, that's his curiosity, that's him measuring the distance you've created between him and your world. And here's the thing. Every single test he does is revealing. It tells him your boundaries, your strength, your worth. When you don't react, when you don't give him that immediate validation he's used to, that's when he starts to think differently. He begins to see you as more than someone to pass the time with. He begins to see you as a person with standards, someone who demands respect and effort. That silence, that non-response, it's like a mirror showing him exactly what he's risking losing. So remember this, ladies, when you stop contacting a man, don't be surprised when he starts testing the waters. That's his natural response. It's his way of gauging how serious you are, how much space he actually occupies in your life, and whether or not he needs to step up. Don't be tempted to give in too quickly. Stand your ground, because this test is not about you failing. It's about him realizing what he could lose if he doesn't respect your boundaries. And trust me, that's a lesson every man needs to learn sooner or later. He will evaluate your value. Now, ladies, this is where a lot of women really need to pay attention, because when you stop contacting a man, something powerful happens. I'm talking about the moment when he starts to re-evaluate your value. You see, men, we don't always appreciate what's right in front of us. Sometimes it takes a little absence, a little silence for us to really see what we've been taking for granted. And that's exactly what happens when you pull back and stop chasing. When you stop calling, stop texting, stop checking in every day, he's suddenly forced to look at the space you filled in his life. He starts noticing the little things he never paid attention to before. The way you always listened when he had a bad day. The way you supported his dreams even when they seemed impossible. The way you showed up consistently without needing a reward or a thank you every time. And then he begins doing what men do best. He starts doing mental math. He starts adding up all the ways you enhanced his life and all the ways he may have overlooked you. Ladies, let me tell you something straight. A man reevaluates your value not just emotionally, but practically. He thinks about the effort, the time, the energy, and yes, even the money you may have invested in the relationship. He recalls the sacrifices you made, the nights you stayed up praying for him, the encouragement you gave when nobody else believed in him. And suddenly, all that he brushed off as normal or expected now feels like a treasure that he might have lost. But here's the thing. This reevaluation isn't always immediate. Sometimes it takes a little longer because men are stubborn creatures. He may initially try to ignore the void, distract himself with friends, work, or hobbies. But deep down, he knows something is missing, and that missing piece is you. That's when he starts replaying conversations, revisiting memories, and realizing that the woman who stopped contacting him brought more to his life than he ever truly acknowledged. And this is when his behavior might change. He might start reaching out more thoughtfully, paying more attention, or trying to show effort in ways he never did before. He may become more conscious of your feelings, more aware of your needs, and more motivated to prove that he deserves your presence. Ladies, that right there is the power of absence. The power of making him see your worth without having to demand respect or attention. But here's the golden rule. As he reevaluates, you have to stay firm. Don't rush back into old patterns just because he's finally realizing your value. Let him earn the place he wants to occupy in your life. Let him show that he appreciates you not because he fears losing you, but because he genuinely recognizes your worth. That's how you create a relationship where your value is acknowledged consistently, not just when he's afraid of being without you. Remember this, when you stop contacting a man, you are giving him the chance to wake up, to see clearly, and to understand what he's been blessed with. You are giving him the chance to reevaluate your value. And when a man finally sees that, ladies, you know he's either going to step up or he's going to step out. But either way, you win. He'll go through the ego phase, ladies. Now we're getting into the tricky part. And this is where a lot of women start getting confused. When you stop contacting a man, you better believe that he's going through what I like to call the ego phase. And let me tell you, the ego phase is real, it's loud, and it's full of denial, excuses, and some downright silly thinking. Men, whether we want to admit it or not, have egos the size of skyscrapers. And when the attention and validation you've been giving suddenly disappears, that ego doesn't just fold quietly. Oh no, it starts working overtime trying to protect itself. Here's what happens at first. He might try to convince himself that he's fine. He tells himself, oh, she's just busy. She's just stressed out. She'll come back around. He's building stories in his head to shield himself from the truth. And let me tell you, men are experts at creating these mental fairy tales. That ego tells him he's in control, that he's untouchable, that nothing has really changed. And for a little while, he might even start acting like he doesn't care. Posting pictures, laughing with friends, living his best life on the outside, but inside he's scrambling. The ego phase is tricky because it makes a man think he's still got the upper hand when, in reality, he's been put on notice. He starts testing the waters like we talked about before, but with a whole new layer of self-protection. He might reach out in subtle ways, see if you respond or act aloof, hoping that his distance will draw you back. That ego doesn't want to admit weakness. It doesn't want to acknowledge that he might actually miss you or need you. But make no mistake, ladies, behind all that acting cool is a man realizing that something valuable is slipping away. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The ego phase can make a man act irrational. He might try to prove he's fine without you, overcompensate with friends or social media, or even flirt with someone else just to prove to himself that he's still desirable. And all of this is happening because your silence has triggered his ego to reassess what he's dealing with. The funny thing is, ladies, none of this behavior is about anyone else. It's all about him and that internal struggle of pride versus desire. And here's the lesson for you. When a man is in the ego phase, It's not the time to chase him or beg for attention. It's the time to observe, to stay firm, and to let that ego battle itself out. Because while he's wrapped up in protecting his pride, he's also coming face to face with the reality that he might lose you if he doesn't step up. That ego that tries to protect him from vulnerability also teaches him the value of what he's risking. Ladies, I promise you, the ego phase is not permanent, but it's a critical stage. It's the moment when a man's pride and denial clash with the truth that you are priceless, that your love isn't guaranteed, and that he can't take you for granted any longer. Watch carefully, be patient, and let him work through it. Because when that ego finally cracks, when it cracks, that's when real growth happens, and that's when he starts deciding whether he wants to be a man worthy of your presence or just another lesson in your past. He might try to replace you, but it won't work, ladies. This is the point where things get a little messy, and I need you to hear me loud and clear. When you stop contacting a man, some men, in their panic or confusion, will try to replace you. And when I say replace, I don't just mean casually. I mean they will look for someone to fill the space you once occupied in their lives, someone to make them feel wanted, someone to make them forget the absence of your attention. Now, before you get upset, let me tell you this. Trying to replace a woman like you is like trying to replace a diamond with a piece of cubic zirconia. It just ain't the same, baby. It don't shine the same. It don't carry the same weight. And eventually they find out it never works. Now, here's what often happens. He starts texting someone new, maybe chatting with a girl he always had on the side but never really noticed. Or he might post on social media, putting himself out there, hoping to attract attention so he doesn't feel that void you left behind. And while it might look like he's moving on, ladies, this is usually just a temporary fix for a very real problem. He's realizing that he can't replace the unique value you brought to his life. That new girl doesn't pray for him. She doesn't support his dreams. She doesn't know the language of your heart, and she certainly doesn't carry the history of the moments you shared. And here's the kicker: while he's trying to replace you, he's also comparing. Every word, every laugh, every gesture he gets from the new girl gets measured against what he had with you. And it ain't even fair, because the new girl can't compete, nobody can. That's why trying to replace someone special never works. You're irreplaceable. You're the standard. And when he realizes that no one else can match your energy, your support, your love, that's when the panic sets in. That's when he starts thinking, wait a minute, I can't find that anywhere else. Ladies, this is why you cannot react in the moment. Don't run back just because he's trying to replace you. Don't give in to jealousy or fear. Sit back, stay firm, and let him go through his process. Because if he's serious about wanting you back, he's going to have to come to terms with the fact that you are one of a kind. He's going to have to confront the reality that no substitute exists for your presence, your love, and your energy. And if he's not willing to do that, then he was never the right man to begin with. Here's the lesson: when a man tries to replace you, it's not about the new girl. It's about him realizing what he's lost. Your absence forces him to see that what he thought was replaceable is actually invaluable. And while he might test, flirt, or even try to deceive himself with someone new, in the end, he will always compare. And he will always see that nobody can take your place. Ladies, that's power. That's the power of stepping back, staying strong, and letting him discover the hard way what he truly lost when you stop contacting him. He will either step up or step out, ladies. Now we are entering one of the most crucial stages in this whole journey. When you stop contacting a man, when you finally take your energy, your time, and your love and stop handing it over freely, he reaches a crossroads. And let me tell you something. This is the point where a man's true intentions come out. He's got two options. He will either step up or he will step out. That's it. No in between, no excuses, no wishy-washy behavior. You've created a moment of clarity for him, and now he's forced to decide who he really is and what he really wants. Stepping up doesn't just mean sending you a text or calling you once in a while. No, stepping up means showing up in a way that proves he values you, respects you, and is willing to put in consistent effort. It means he's taking responsibility for his actions, acknowledging any mistakes he's made, and demonstrating that he's ready to contribute equally to the relationship. When a man steps up, ladies, he becomes intentional. He's no longer drifting along hoping you'll do all the heavy lifting. He starts making real moves, not just empty promises, but actions that show he understands your worth. That's the man you want, the man who recognizes that your love isn't a free gift to be taken for granted. But here's the reality. Not every man will choose to step up. Some men, when faced with the challenge of your absence, will step out. They will walk away. And this is a good thing, ladies. Don't feel hurt or rejected when that happens. In fact, you should feel relieved, because a man who steps out is showing you who he truly is. He's showing you that he wasn't ready, that he didn't have the maturity, or that he wasn't willing to meet you at your level. And trust me, you do not want a man like that lingering in your life, taking up space and draining your energy. The moment he steps out is the moment you reclaim your power and realize that your standards are non-negotiable. Now, let me tell you something funny. Sometimes a man will hesitate, trying to linger in between stepping up or stepping out. He'll send half-hearted texts, drop occasional, "How you doing?" messages, or act like he's interested but not fully committed. Don't fall for that. That is not stepping up, ladies. That is confusion disguised as effort. True stepping up is consistent, intentional, and undeniable. Anything less is just a temporary distraction from the truth that he either values you or he doesn't. Here's the beauty of this moment. When you stop contacting a man and allow him to step up or step out, you are giving him a choice. And more importantly, you are giving yourself clarity. You no longer have to chase, doubt, or wonder where you stand. You are setting the standard, and only the men who are willing to rise to that standard belong in your life. Everything else, that's background noise, and you've got better things to focus on: your happiness, your dreams, and your peace of mind. Ladies, remember, this absence doesn't just test him, it reveals him. And when he either steps up or steps out, you finally get to see who he really is, and that's the ultimate power move. You get your power back, ladies. Now we've arrived at the most important point of all. The moment when you stop contacting a man and finally get your power back. And I'm not talking about some tiny little, I feel a little better kind of power. I'm talking about the kind of power that makes a man sit up and take notice, the kind of power that comes from self-respect, self-love, and understanding your worth. Because here's the truth: when you give all your time, attention, and energy to someone else, it's easy to lose sight of yourself. But when you pull back, when you stop chasing, when you stop texting, calling, and worrying about where he is or what he's doing, that's when your power returns full force. Think about it. For months, maybe years, you've been invested in this man, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. You've been bending over backwards, rearranging your life, making sure he's happy, checking in constantly. And somewhere along the way, a little piece of your power slipped out of your hands. That's natural, ladies, but doesn't have to stay that way. The moment you stop chasing, you reclaim that piece of yourself. You start prioritizing your needs, your goals, your happiness. You start living your life for you, not for him. And let me tell you, that shift in energy, men can feel it a mile away. Here's what happens when you get your power back. Suddenly you're walking taller, speaking clearer, laughing louder, and carrying yourself like the queen you truly are. Your attention isn't up for grabs anymore. Your love isn't a freebie. You've set your boundaries, and you respect yourself enough to stick to them. And when a man sees that it's a game changer, he realizes that he no longer controls your happiness. He realizes that he has to earn your time, your energy, your love, not take it for granted. That's what true power looks like, ladies, and it's magnetic. Getting your power back isn't just about him, though. It's about you. It's about remembering that your life doesn't revolve around waiting for someone else to decide you're worthy of their attention. It's about rediscovering your passions, pursuing your dreams, and fully embracing the woman you are at your core. And when you do that, the universe aligns, opportunities come. People who truly appreciate your worth are drawn to you. Your confidence skyrockets, and the peace you feel inside is unmatched. Now, let me warn you, some women fear this power. They think if they stop chasing, he might leave for good. But ladies, that's exactly why you need it. That fear. That's the old energy, the old version of you, the version that lets someone else's attention dictate your self-worth. When you reclaim your power, you shed that fear. You embrace independence, self-respect, and strength. And guess what? That combination, it's irresistible. So remember this, when you stop contacting a man, you aren't just testing him or seeing what he'll do. You're reclaiming something far more important, your power, your confidence, your peace, your freedom. And once you stand in that power, no man, no situation, no circumstance can make you feel less than the incredible woman you are. That's the ultimate win, ladies. That's the crown you were born to wear. Final words of empowerment, ladies. Before we leave this room, I want you to take every word I said tonight and let it sink in deep. Life is too short to give your love, your time, your energy to someone who doesn't see your worth. You are a queen, and a queen doesn't chase. A queen doesn't beg. A queen knows her value, and she demands to be treated accordingly. When you stop chasing, when you stop calling, when you stop worrying about someone else's choices, that's when your power shines. That's when the world starts noticing. Understand this. Your worth is not determined by a man's attention. It's determined by how you see yourself, by the boundaries you set, and by the love you give yourself first. Stand tall, walk proud, and let your life be a reflection of your strength, your intelligence, and your unstoppable spirit. Don't settle for someone who doesn't recognize what you bring to the table. Your time is precious, your heart is sacred, and your energy is valuable. Protect it, nurture it, and never ever give it to someone who isn't willing to earn it. So go out there and live boldly. Chase your dreams, love yourself fiercely, and embrace the power you've reclaimed. And remember, the right man, the one worth your time, will step up. He will see you, respect you, and honor the woman you've always been. Until then, keep shining, keep growing, and keep winning. You are unstoppable. You are unshakable. You are powerful. No one can ever take that from you.